China could not rely on building this highway upward from the canyon floor. At the center of the crossing, the Beipan River lay approximately 625 meters below the planned roadway, surrounded by steep mountain walls and rapidly changing winds. So engineers built from the mountains instead. They raised two enormous towers, anchored suspension cables into opposite sides of the canyon, and assembled a 1,420-meter highway span in midair, one steel truss section at a time. Then came the final piece. Approximately 215 tons of steel, suspended hundreds of meters above the canyon, with two independently constructed halves waiting for one precise connection. This is the Huajiang Grand Canyon Bridge, an expressway built where conventional construction from below was almost impossible. The bridge crosses the Huajiang Grand Canyon in Guizhou province, southwest China. Far below it flows the Beipan River. Around it rises a landscape of steep karst mountains, narrow valleys, and difficult mountain roads. The direct distance between the two sides of the canyon appears manageable. Traveling through the terrain was not. Roads had to follow the mountains, descending, turning and climbing around the canyon system. Official reports released when the bridge opened said the new crossing reduced a journey of roughly 2 hours to about 2 minutes. Creating that shortcut required a bridge approximately 2,890 meters long. Its main span extends 1,420 meters between the towers. At the deepest part of the crossing, the roadway stands approximately 625 meters above the river. When it opened in 2025, it was reported as the world's highest bridge by the vertical distance from the roadway to the river below. But the record was not the real construction problem. The problem was how to place a 4-lane expressway across an enormous void. On many bridges, temporary supports, scaffolding or piers, can rise from the ground beneath the future deck. At Huajiang, the canyon was too deep and too steep for conventional support beneath the main span to be practical. Engineers selected a long-span suspension design that could cross the canyon without a main span pier below. The roadway would be carried by a steel truss. Vertical hangers would connect that truss to two main suspension cables. The cables would pass over concrete towers and continue into anchorages on the mountain sides. The towers would redirect the forces. The anchorages would resist the pull, and the mountains would become part of the structural system. Before the bridge could rise, crews first had to reach the construction sites. They created mountain access roads, working platforms, and material staging areas near both canyon edges. Heavy equipment, reinforcement, concrete systems, and steel components had to reach precise locations on difficult terrain. Surveyors established control points across the canyon. Engineers monitored the slopes and prepared stable working areas where required. But reaching the bridge line was only the first problem. The two mountainsides could not anchor the suspension cables in the same way. On the Guanling side, the terrain was extremely steep. Published design reporting described sections of slope inclined at more than 80 degrees. There was not enough suitable space for the same enormous surface anchorage used on the opposite mountain. Instead, engineers excavated into the slope. They constructed a tunnel anchorage extending approximately 94 meters into the mountain. Its reinforced structure transferred the pull of the main cable into the surrounding rock mass. Across the canyon, on the Zhenfeng side, the terrain allowed a different solution. There, engineers built a gravity anchorage. This structure resisted the cable force through a massive reinforced concrete body and its foundation. Published project information describes approximately 164,000 cubic meters of concrete in this single anchorage. Placing that much concrete created a thermal problem. The enormous mass generated heat as it cured. If the interior and exterior changed temperature too differently, thermal stress could increase the risk of cracking. Crews placed the concrete in controlled stages. Embedded cooling pipes and temperature sensors helped limit those differences, while the anchorage gained strength. One side of the bridge was anchored inside a mountain. The other was secured by an immense mass of concrete built upon it. Different terrain required different engineering, but both structures had to resist the same fundamental force, the pull of the suspension cables stretching across the canyon. With the anchorage systems under construction, engineers began raising the bridge towers. The two reinforced concrete towers were not the same height because the mountain geometry was not symmetrical. The taller tower reached approximately 262 meters. The other rose approximately 204 meters. Construction began with the tower foundations and bases. Reinforcement formed the internal structure of the tower legs. Climbing formwork then advanced upward through repeated concrete lifts. Install the reinforcement, secure the formwork, pump the concrete, allow the new section to gain strength, then raise the system and repeat the cycle. Surveyors check the tower geometry throughout construction. A small error at a lower level could become much larger at the tower top, affecting the future position of the suspension cables. Crossbeams connected the tower legs. Tower cranes supplied reinforcement, equipment, and formwork to the advancing work zones. Each concrete lift raised the structures farther above the mountains until the taller tower reached its final height. At the tops, crews prepared the positions for the cable saddles. The towers were enormous, but the canyon below the future roadway was deeper still. Once both towers were complete, the bridge finally had the high points required for the suspension system. Between them remained 1,420 meters of empty air. Large steel cable saddles were installed at the tower tops. These components would guide the main cables over the towers and transfer forces into the concrete structures below. Additional cable guiding components were installed near the anchorages. Their position mattered because the geometry of the main cables would help determine the final shape of the suspended roadway. Before crews could build those permanent cables, they needed temporary access across the canyon. They installed narrow suspended catwalks along the future cable lines. The catwalks were temporary construction platforms, not permanent pedestrian bridges. They gave crews access to the tower tops, cable alignment, and strand installation areas high above the river. With the catwalks in place, construction of the main cables could begin. A suspension cable may look like one enormous steel rope. At Huajiang, each main cable was built from 217 separate strands. Across both sides of the bridge, crews installed 434 strands. A complete strand extended for approximately 2,378 meters and weighed about 43 tons. Each one had to be pulled across the canyon, passed over the tower saddles, and connected toward the anchorages. A traction system carried the strand along the cable line. Crews positioned it within the developing bundle and adjusted its geometry. Then the process began again. One strand, then another, and another. The work continued hundreds of times. Wind could disturb a strand while it crossed the canyon. Temperature could change its length and sag. Surveying and monitoring systems helped engineers control the growing cable geometry. At least one early strand was reported to contain embedded sensing technology, giving engineers additional information during installation. When all 434 strands were in place, crews compacted them into the two completed main cables. Cable clamps were then installed along the span. From those clamps, vertical hangers descended toward the future deck. The suspension system was finally ready to carry the roadway. But the roadway still existed as 93 separate steel sections. The bridge uses a steel-truss girder. Its open triangulated framework gave the suspended roadway the stiffness required to span the canyon without becoming an impossibly heavy solid deck. The complete truss system contained approximately 21,000 tons of steel, divided into 93 installation segments and 7 segment types. Fabrication began away from the canyon. Steel plates and truss members were cut, shaped, and assembled into panels. Connections were prepared for high-strength bolts. Welds and dimensions were inspected. Sections were trial assembled before they were transported to the bridge site. Digital scanning allowed engineers to compare the physical geometry with the intended design. In one documented trial assembly process, dimensional control reached approximately 2 millimeters. That figure applied to the controlled fabrication trial. It was not a claimed tolerance for every joint or for the final closure above the canyon. A representative early segment measured approximately 15.4 meters long, 30.5 meters wide, and 8 meters high. It weighed around 215 tons. Components were transported toward the construction sites and assembled into full lifting sections near the canyon edge. Surveyors checked their geometry. Rigging points were prepared. Connections were inspected. Then each segment had to leave solid ground. No conventional crane could stand beneath the center of the span. The lifting system had to come from above. Engineers installed a temporary cable crane system between the mountain construction zones. It did not lift from the canyon floor. It pulled from the mountains. A completed deck segment was connected to the lifting system near the edge of the canyon. The cables raised the load. Then they carried it outward into the span. Cameras and sensors monitored the machinery, cable forces, and movement of the suspended steel. Surveyors tracked its position. Crews watched the weather. The canyon did not produce one steady wind. The terrain accelerated, redirected, and disturbed the airflow around the towers, cables, and hanging deck sections. Official project reporting said sudden winds could reach typhoon force levels. A segment weighing more than 200 tons still moved when suspended from long cables. Wind could push it sideways or cause it to rotate. Lifts, therefore, depended on suitable conditions and carefully controlled movement. As the segment approached its position, the cable crane operators adjusted its height and horizontal location. Guide systems helped limit unwanted motion. Surveyors checked alignment. The section was connected to the vertical hangers descending from the main cables. Temporary connections stabilized it. Crews joined it to the neighboring truss section using permanent high-strength bolts. Then the system returned for another piece. Assemble, rig, lift, carry it into the span, connect it to the hangers, align it, bolt it into the truss, then repeat. The first steel truss segment was lifted in November 2024. Published project reporting said the erection of all 93 installation segments was completed in approximately 73 days. That speed did not mean the operation was simple. It reflected the fabrication, planning, monitoring, and construction systems prepared before the first lift began. Every new section changed the suspended structure. The growing deck added weight to the hangers and main cables. The cable geometry shifted. The deck responded to wind and temperature. Surveyors had to understand not only the position of each segment, but the behavior of the entire bridge as the span extended. Each successful lift reduced the remaining gap, but it also made the final connection depend on the accumulated geometry of everything already built. By January 2025, the two advancing deck halves had almost met. One final steel truss section remained. It weighed approximately 215 tons. The cable crane lifted it from the assembly area and carried it above the canyon. On both sides were deck structures built independently from opposite mountains. The final section had to match their horizontal position, vertical elevation, and rotation. Temperature could alter the geometry of the deck and cables. Wind could move the suspended load. The bridge itself could respond slightly. As forces changed during the lift, operators guided the section toward the opening. Surveyors monitored its position. The lifting system made controlled adjustments. The gap narrowed. Temporary connections secured the segment. Permanent structural work followed. On January 17, 2025, the main span achieved structural closure. The final section did not simply complete the roadway. It locked two mountain construction systems into one continuous 1,420-meter suspended structure. For the first time, the steel skeleton crossed the entire canyon. But the bridge was not yet ready for traffic. Crews completed the permanent deck connections, roadway panels, and waterproofing. A 5-layer pavement system was installed across approximately 38,000 square meters of deck. Barriers, drainage, lighting, expansion joints, monitoring equipment, and road markings followed. The open steel truss became a 4-lane expressway. The finished bridge looked ready. Engineers still had to confirm that it behaved as the design predicted under highway loads. In August 2025, the bridge entered a controlled testing program. Heavy trucks were positioned on the deck in stages. First 18, then 48. Finally, as many as 96 trucks occupied the bridge. Together, they represented approximately 3,300 tons of controlled load. More than 400 sensors monitored the bridge under 15 test conditions. Engineers measured the behavior of the main cables, towers, anchorages, hangers, and steel truss. They recorded deformation and stress. They compared those measurements with the structural response predicted during design. Dynamic testing followed. 4 trucks crossed the bridge at controlled speeds between approximately 30 and 60 kilometers per hour and performed planned braking operations. This allowed engineers to study how the structure responded to moving loads. The test did not prove that the bridge could carry unlimited weight. It confirmed that its measured behavior met the required standards before public traffic was allowed onto the span. The Huajiang Grand Canyon Bridge opened on September 28, 2025. The completed structure carried the Liuji Anlong Expressway across a canyon that had previously forced travelers onto long mountain routes. Ordinary cars and freight vehicles could now cross in minutes. China did not build this bridge from the canyon floor. It built from two mountains. One anchorage disappeared into the rock. The other was created from an enormous mass of concrete. Between them, hundreds of cable strands and 93 steel sections turned open air into a 4-lane highway. The result was more than a world record. It transformed a roughly 2-hour mountain journey into a crossing measured in minutes. This is where mountain engineering meets open air, and where an impossible void becomes part of an ordinary road.